So free cloud, just in the inherent nature of it, is extremely risky. I think some of the problems with free cloud stem around the fact that there's really no confidentiality, integrity, or availability assurance for the data. So you really don't know where it is, where it's being backed up. There's no terms and conditions, so there's no assurance of what the company's actually doing with that data. So it's pretty risky from a data protection standpoint, which is very important. So there's a lot of legal issues. I think the use of any user that's actually using cloud has to click through a user agreement, and really that's not a binding agreement. The user cannot really do that generally in most states. That's prohibited. So there's a legal restriction there. And again, because there's no terms and conditions really signed, there's no contract in place. That really puts a risk if data of a sensitive nature is going into that cloud. It's pretty much gone. It's in the cloud storage handler's hands, and they own it. I think what states need to do, and some of the things that we're doing in the Commonwealth, is taking a look at maybe partnering with one or two different vendors, getting quality terms and conditions in place, really solid terms and conditions that really are in the state's best interest, and really looking to one or two providers and handling that. Additionally to that, I think what states can do is look at an internal solution, something that they can host themselves. But if they need to use an external cloud provider, I think through some solid contracts, solid terms and conditions, they can enable that, and that's some of the things that we're actually doing right now in the Commonwealth. We're piloting a few solutions at this time. In our internet policy today, we actively block free cloud storage. There is a process for agencies that need to use free cloud, and we've had this happen where agencies, they just basically say because of their business needs, they have to use it. So what we'd have is a waiver policy in place. So there's a waiver process, so they can submit a waiver. And what we've done is created a legally binding document with the agency, where the agency head, the agency legal counsel, and the CIO all sign an acceptance of risk document saying that they accept the risk for the use of free cloud storage. And then once they sign that, we get the waiver. We attach that to the waiver, and then we unblock those sites for those specific users that need it. What we're doing right now is we have an internal solution today, and what we're doing is piloting with some of the cloud vendors to look at solutions that really to ensure that the vendor meets our terms and conditions, and partner with those vendors to really develop a cloud service or a cloud storage service that really can be done with any device. So a mobile device, from your desktop, any phone, anywhere you're going, pretty much to have those files at your fingertips wherever you are. So that's something that we're doing right now. I think that's where the future's going. I think with the mobility trend and the trends in mobile, where everything's really going to be mobile, people are going to want to have their files wherever they go. And I think some of the vendors that are out there today are providing those services. So we just need to make sure that the terms and conditions are in place. Solid contracts, that's in the state's best interests, to make sure that whatever data is going into these cloud storage sites are secured. It's something that we hadn't done probably in the last few months, but since then, we've actually worked with several vendors so far, and in really negotiating with them on some favorable terms and conditions. So it's something that we actually do first before we would even consider piloting with a product. Because say we piloted with a certain product and it was great, and then we go back and try to belt out the contract and it doesn't work out, well then the pilot was pretty much a waste. So what we've done first is basically make sure the terms and conditions are favorable to and then once that's in place, then do the pilot. And if that works, then we go ahead and implement it. So right now we're actually in the piloting phase. We've already actually gone through the terms and conditions and the contract piece. So things look good. I think it's making sure that, as far as from a state standpoint, that you know where your data is, that the data is the ownership of the state entity or whoever's putting the data up there. It's not the ownership of the cloud provider. That there's solid controls in place, such as encryption, bit strengths of encryption, things of that nature, so that if there is sensitive data in a cloud, that it is secured properly. Terms regarding data breaches, if you look at some of the free cloud storage vendors, for instance, they've had data breaches in the past. And so there's a risk. So you have to account for that in the contract. things of a sensitive nature, anytime sensitive data can go anywhere, the controls that have to be in place have to be as strong as if you were going to do that internally. So those are some of the terms and conditions that we have to put on the data provider, and it can be tough to try to get to work with the vendors to do that. But I think it's possible, and I think it's we're doing it today. So I think it's there's good things to look for in the future.